Live from the internet, it is the Crystal Chronicles, your unofficial, official Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. It is March 7th, 2019, and this is episode 45, Fangs of Promise. I am your host, Mark, and I am joined by my co-host, Mino. Hello, Mino. How are you doing today?
Hey Mark, doing good. Enjoying the current content of the game, so it should be an exciting episode.
We are joined by our good friend and yours, Kreise, aka Xerink. How are you doing, Kreise?
Hello, having a good evening. Working on for Fang EX, but still, it's been going pretty well.
I just want to say thank you, Kreise, for joining us last minute. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for inviting me again. I'm happy to join you whenever you need me.
Great.
Justin Pierre is still alive, and he is just away for this week, and we will keep you in the loop. He is still alive and well, and we have spoken to him recently, so he's not fallen off the face of the earth, and we hope to see him and have him back on very soon. I know definitely Mino and I want that for the production part of the show.
Oh yeah, we're trying something new right now, guys. We got a lot of complaints about Kreise and I cutting out in the last recording. We don't know the cause. We're theorizing it might have been Mark's bandwidth. So I'm hosting today. So people watching live on Twitch, you have to deal with a very basic display of just the background and our little highlighted circles. But hopefully, let us know anytime throughout the broadcast or after. Hopefully you can hear everyone clearly, and that's the most important part.
Well, I guess I should take over from here. We have a few little bits of news. The first news was we had rewards. Everyone likes rewards, right? Final Fantasy Portal app, that's that thing that I have downloaded that I don't usually check. But there was a Portal app campaign, and that's where if you get so many points on logging in or playing on your Portal app or doing Triple Triad, you get points as a community, and we all get bonuses if we all do that. So thank you all of the Final Fantasy Portal apps players, whether you use that for TFFOO or just in general. So we got quite a few rewards from the Portal app campaign: 15 draw tickets, 15 armor tickets, 15 of each high shards, 3 power tokens, and 1,000 gems. So thank you to everybody for your good work. And we also got live stream rewards from the last Square Enix live stream, and that was 20 draw tickets, 5 armor tokens. All 35 of those tickets were thrown into Zell EX banner and resulted in nothing for me. So hopefully you had better luck with how you are haphazardly using your tickets.
I'm so grateful for these rewards, because without going too much into it, our listeners on our Discord know, but there's something going wrong with my login, so I missed that last 3 power tokens in the anniversary. Still going through support. By the way, I don't know if any of you have ever gone through the support for this game, but it's taking a long time to get any resolution. I've been playing email tag for a week and a half and talking to Glacy and Josh on Discord, but I'm still waiting on results. But I missed 3 power tokens, so these 3 power tokens makes me feel much better because it rounds me out to 15.
Yeah, I have not had to deal with support, luckily, and hopefully it stays that way. I don't want to have any issues.
I also got some news. I don't know if either of you saw this, but Dissidia NT, that is that other game that is related to this game that we play, which is currently only available on PS4, I believe, is going to be free on Steam, which is a PC tool for gaming. It's going to be free, or the free version will be available on Steam March 12th. You're going to download Dissidia NT on Steam. Apparently it's really not doing well on PlayStation.
It's not doing well, and you know, I learned about Opera Omnia through that game. I was a huge Dissidia fan. I pre-ordered the special edition, paid so much money for it, because you know, the whole season pass and everything with the Steel Collector's Edition. Got it, opened it up, and there was a code for Opera Omnia. That's how I found out about this game, and that's why I'm so grateful for it. But the actual game was terrible. and I really was disappointed by it. And it's going free to play because they desperately need to bolster the player base, because you just can't find matches online now. And I think Square's motto is to never abandon a game, because FF14 bombed, and then they spent millions to remake it from the ground up instead of abandoning it. Same with FF15, they spent millions on the DLC to try to revive it, and now with NT it looks like they just refuse to let it die. But if you're a fan of Opera Omnia, I suggest going to check it out, because it's free, and for no other reason, you can see what moves the characters are going to get, and what costumes they're going to get, because all the costumes so far have been pulled straight from NT.
No?
I have not played Dissidia NT. I'm looking forward to giving it a shot when the free-to-play version comes out, so that'll be fun for me.
Cool. Well, everybody let us know, and if you are, if we download it on Steam, we'll make sure that we share our information so that we can, or if that's, I don't even know if that's an option. There's multiplayer, right?
Oh yeah. And also the viewers are saying, some people, One Wing Devil and Aminosa, are saying they enjoyed NT for what it is, and I do appreciate that. It's just that I was used to the old Dissidias, which was more of a one-on-one game, and this one, like people are saying in chat as well, the connection is very spotty. Connecting 6 players into an online game with a bad network, some of the fights were just painful to get through because they were literally unplayable. But hopefully they revive it. Maybe they'll prove me wrong and make it a lot better. So
it might find some new life on the Steam store. It has a huge player base. It being free will help drive people there. It's going to have to see a consistent player base for it to succeed, though.
Yeah, like any fighting game, basically. And for those wondering how it's going free to play, it's like a lot of MOBAs, like League of Legends, where each week a certain selection of free characters will be playable, and then you can spend in-game currency you earn to either purchase them or real currency to play them permanently. Otherwise, each week the selectable heroes will cycle through.
We'll find out more about that when that launches next week. But to Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, the game that we are here to talk about, we have a few events to talk about this week, starting with the Heretic Quests, which had just launched when we were podcasting and recording the podcast last week. So we've had some time to live with the Heretic Quests, and we've also gotten the addition of co-op, which I did not realize. I don't even think we got an announcement for co-op.
No,
right?
we did on
There
the.
was...
Yeah, go ahead, Kreise. Sorry.
I don't know if there was an in-game announcement. It dropped at the exact same time as Celeste Lost Chapter, though, and I don't know if it got lost in that.
Yes, so
I didn't see it at all.
there was no in-game announcement, but on the Square Enix live stream they did announce it. So, and apparently a lot of people missed that, because so they said on the live stream they said solo's dropping first, and then co-op's coming later on in the next update, which is, you know, the following Sunday. So apparently it did blindside a lot of people, yeah.
I
so
knew
let's
last week
talk
that the
about
co-op
it.
was coming. I just didn't know when it was coming.
Yeah, so let's talk about that Heretic Quest, and I will say that we're going to share in the notes, and I'll put on Twitch right now the wonderful Macnull has developed a ongoing what he started as a call to arms through our conversation on our Discord to try to get some different approaches to this heretic, and we're talking specifically about Power and Magic Chasms Rising EX, the quest level 110, the most difficult of the heretic quests that we've had so far in terms of difficulty level, quest level. So Macnull put on Reddit basically an open call, give us some different strategies, give us some different setups, and let's see what we can come up with. And the community did not disappoint. And as you can see, if you look at that spreadsheet, there's over 42 entries. All of them have YouTube links. So all of them are, you can watch all the strategies. The highest score being Kate Sith, Van EX, Lael, of course, all synergy. Well, not Kate Sith wasn't synergy. Van and Lael synergy with 354,000. That was with Pandemonium and Friend Lael because we're in the Lael party. All the way down to strategies with Setzer and Ramza and Papa Lamo. There were some really good ones. Waka, Selfie, Papa Lamo. Let's see if some of our folks are on here. Yeah, I mean, just some, and we were messing around on Discord saying, you know, give us, you know, use this character, use that character, use every character in between, and see if you can figure something out. So, how did you guys feel about this particular Heretic Quest? And who did you use, and what did you do?
I'll go first, Kreise, because I know I probably did the worst.
Well, I still haven't gotten the complete on it. So.
Oh, but you're purposely avoiding the launch meta, is that why?
Yes, I'm purposely avoiding the launch meta, and I also put it on hold until Fang arrived, and then I haven't had a chance to go back to it yet.
Ah, that's fair. All right,
plan
Kreise.
to go back.
If you want to lead us off, go ahead.
I just wanted to do a shout out for Aminosa, who was honorably mentioned in the post for getting a clear with Ida in the party, and another clear with Alice in the party, showing that they can be carried through this. They don't do great, but they can make. Anyways, my own attempts, I tried to use my staple team up to that point, which was Beatrix, Garnet, and Ramza, and I was just missing score for the most part. I've gotten some ideas since then on how to fix it up, but I haven't put those into play yet, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay. I'll take over. I actually thought it was very difficult in the beginning. I tried for an entire day. I know, I'm very impatient. Entire day is a long time for me. Tried for an entire day to do it without Lael because I did not get lucky enough to draw Lael's. So the early clears all had either Lael, Ramza EX, or Vaughn EX. And I didn't have either of those weapons, so I was getting frustrated. In the end, I spent my weapon tokens to get Lael 35, and a 0 LB Lael 35 got me the score easily, like over 60k over the score, I believe, just by having a 0 LB Lael with no artifacts, because none of my characters have artifacts. And so then Macnull, who's doing God's work, by the way, with his Call to Arms post, he was calling for unusual clears, and I told I asked our Discord server, I said, if anyone can do a clear without Lael 35, Ramza EX, or Vaughn EX, I'd like to see it. So Macnull put in his post, and our Discord server members went up to the task, and a lot of people showed me it was possible. I was very impressed. Well, I say a lot of people, but I think Macnull recorded 40-something runs, and only 5 of them could do my request of no Lael, no Ramza EX, no Vaughn EX. But the point is, they proved that it was doable. So I very much respect.
13, 14 on his list that were able to do it with following your challenge.
He said 5 if you don't count as friends.
Oh, friend.
Yeah, no, like no Lael friend, no Ramza friend, no Vaughn friend, etc. So he said 5 completely without that, which is very impressive. 13 with, as Kreise just said. And so God bless Macnull, because he said he started the Call to Arms, and the community has been great about doing non-conventional clears now. Like, I really enjoy that a lot of people are coming out and trying to go against the launch meta and find different ways to use underused characters, underappreciated characters to get the full completes with score, and everyone's documenting their runs now for Macnull, so you can watch all these videos and how to do it. I've definitely improved my play watching all these videos, and Macnull says he plans to do this for every event now, and he's collecting data. He showed us some spreadsheets of you know, like the most used characters, so he's kind of you know what the global tier list did back in the day, where they gathered all this data and like ranked characters? He's not ranking the characters, but the data is invaluable. He's planning to keep it up, and I fully support him and will help him with however he wants to do that. But
Yeah, no, I think it's great because there are a lot of different options. So I did this in several different ways just because we had some time to play around with things. So, in one run I did Setzer, Papalamo, Kate Sith with Lael, but I also did. I mean, I did the launch meta too, but I also did a Waka Selfie Papalamo Friend Squall run, and was able to do that.
So Mark, let's get your take on the Heretics before I ask some questions about it. Actually, did you enjoy it? I mean, like, how were your runs? Were they pretty easy to clear without the launch meta?
Yeah, no, like I said, I was able to do, one with a friend Lael with Setzer, Papalamo, and Kate Sith, but also one without any launchers with Waka, Selfie, Papalamo, and Squall. So I think there's lots of different options if you did not want to use that. Obviously, if you have Von EX, this particular event was helpful for Von EX. And it really played to his strengths very well. So you see a lot of Von EX. But here, I mean, Beatrix, Squall, Kate Sid Von, Papalamo, Friend Von, Kate Sid Von, Selfie, Friend Squall, Ash Von, Setzer. So, I mean, Kate Sid Onion Knight. Oh, that's Lael, Squall. But still, Garnet, Beatrix, Zidane. I mean... there's just options. I think we get so caught up in, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, we get so caught up in just the few different strategies that we have that we forget to, use those other characters and try some different things out. Right,
which is why I'm so appreciative to Macnull and everyone participating in his challenges, to show people that DFFOO isn't locked to one meta to clear everything. You just have to put in the effort. Of course, the meta is going to reign supreme because people are lazy, me included. But the options are there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, do you guys want to say? Do you guys want to say anything about co-op? Have you done this co-op a lot?
I've done it a decent amount. It's pretty easy. If you have any decent characters that are synergy, you blow through it really, really fast.
It's long, that's for sure.
It's longer than other co-ops. It's not terribly long.
I guess so. I've been running Setzer. I don't know what you guys have been running.
I've been running Papalamo.
Lael and Papalamo, yeah. I think I told my friend I'd say it, but he was saying he's never seen so many bad Vons in co-op. And he's surprised because he said Von's a super easy character to play and has been out forever.
People don't know how to play characters. That's
right?
The general consensus.
Red Spiral, White Whirl.
Yeah, I've told people. I told him that I think the easier the character, the more bad players you'll see on it. That's why Squall was like the poster boy for bad plays for the longest time. But I think 90%. Huh? Go ahead.
I've seen plenty of bad Laels.
Yeah, but Lael I can pardon because not everyone knows how chase units work, and not everyone goes on Reddit and studies the game, so I can understand that. But 90% of the Vons I see, they'll spam Red Spiral until they're out, and then White Whirl until they're out, like without fail.
I will see people who, without a party buffer in the group, start with White Whirl, use it a couple times, then switch to Red Spiral to get themselves buffed so they get the passives active.
Yeah.
And then it's too late, and then they'll waste turns without using their EX, when Vaughn is a character who desperately needs to use his EX whenever it's active.
I just want a White Whirl so the defense down is applied. That's all I want. That's all I'm asking for.
Just remember the turtle's immune to that.
Uh-huh. Good to know.
Oh, interesting. Well, we have other content to talk about, so let's keep going. The next event is Celeste Lost Chapter. Our Lady Celeste, the Magitech Knight, returns with her Awakening, her EX weapon, and I think Kreise has her EX weapon because he has all EX weapons, and a new Lost Chapter with a level 100 battle. So, let's talk about Celes. What is her awakening like, and what does her EX do?
Sure, I'll take this. For those who might not remember, Celes was the magic tank before her awakening, where her original gimmick was that one of her abilities gives her a magic damage absorb, and she provokes targets. And whenever she gets hit by magic attacks, she drains magic instead of taking damage, which was pretty cool. Problem was, she had no ability uses when she first dropped, and she also had really bad base stats. So what does her awakening do? Well, it gives her the basic passives you would expect. Her Crystal Strength 54 gives her a huge boost to attack and max brave while she's buffed. Her Crystal Strength 58 is a party aura which boosts max brave and speed while she is buffed. Her first extension, Shine Edge, gives her another use of Shine Edge. It increases the number of brave hits to 2 and increases its attack potency hugely, while also giving her something similar to what Snow gets with Frost Strike. She gets some brave back after she does damage, so she isn't left vulnerable to brave attacks after using Shine Edge anymore. Runic gets a whopping 4 ability uses with its extension, and the big game changer for Runic is that her unique framed buff, Brave Magic Absorb, is turned into a stackable buff that now raises her max brave based on the number of stacks that she has, and she gets an HP plus attack to use there, which does brave damage followed by an HP attack.
So here comes the new segment of our podcast where I grill Kreise about the characters, because I'm starting to pull back on the research and he's our resident expert now. But did you fully awaken Celes? I think you did, right?
I have her EX. I haven't gotten to that yet.
I was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Xerink. There was a little pause.
Sorry, I had to take a breath, but I wanted to see if anyone had anything to say about her base awakening. In general, her base awakening lets her do what she could do better. If you're facing a boss that does primarily magic attacks, she's gonna do really good in those situations. Her EX weapon gives her an EX ability called Spinning Edge. It's a 5-hit magic attack at pretty high potency, followed by an HP attack. No overflow, which is probably one of its biggest weaknesses. However, she does get a framed buff called Rune Ignite, which gives her magic attack bonus, brave regen, and HP regen for 5 turns. And that pretty much seals her as a magic tank that can do a lot of damage in the interim.
Oh, okay. So, sorry. So to reiterate my question is, did you fully awaken her?
Yeah, I also got her EX, and I used her for the Lost Chapter.
Yes.
And I also tried her a couple times for the Fang EX fight.
Mm-hmm. And how do you? Because I know you're a big fan of Celes, right? I think you told me that you know she's not going to be one of the best characters, but you really like her as a character, so you wanted to go all in for her EX, correct?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of her mechanic and her gimmick, even though tanking and her niche is pretty narrow. I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to invest in it, so I did.
So did it pay off?
Weapons, and I think it did. I'm still not 100% sold on it. She's going to definitely stay on the bench for a lot of fights, but I can tell you she was doing good work for Fang X, and we'll get to it when we talk about the Fang event. But for the Celes Lost Chapter, she basically trivialized it. The only problem I had was cutting down the number of turns so I could get the score. I was in no danger of ever dying in that fight.
And did you get score with Celes?
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay.
I think for the Lost Chapter, I got score with Papalimo, Celes X, and Ramza EX, I think I used. I don't remember what the third character was.
Yeah. And so she got a crazy amount of increased ability uses, which is a pattern we're seeing now with Orin and such, to fix these characters that were very, very underpowered. But I think the biggest concerns with her are going to be her Brave Shave ability and her max Brave cap. How have you been finding those?
Thanks to her magic Brave Absorb being a stackable buff that increases her max brave. Her max brave gets pretty high. In her event during summon, I think I got to about 50k brave, max brave, and on the Fangy X fight, she was around 25k once all of her buffs were up and Magic Brave Absorb was stacked up properly, with Ramza in the party to give her a little bit of a max brave boost.
Oh, interesting. So, Mark, how did you find the EX? You completed it, right?
Yeah, and I used Kreise's Celes as my friend the first time I did it. So I happen to have characters MLB'd, including an EX that is not Celes, because I did not pull on this banner. So I have Onion Knight, fully awakened MLB with his EX weapon, and of course I have Papillamo MLB, fully awakened. And I brought Celes, Crystal Strength 55, level 50, with Oren's 15 CP weapon. So I don't have any weapons for Celes whatsoever, and she was Crystal Strength 55. And I brought a friend, Kreise's, in fact, Celes. And I was not able to get the high score. I got 118,000. I did get all of the 110,000's the target for the actual score, and I got, you know, no KOs under 80 turns and have Celes in your party. And I was able to do that with those three characters, and I felt really good about that. So, if you can take three characters, one of whom doesn't even have or her weapons, and you can get all of the mission scores, I think that's pretty good. Later with Papillamo, Selfie, my phone's going crazy, with a Lael friend and got the highest score, I believe.
Yeah, Celes was a super easy carry. One of the easiest carries I ever had to do through an LC, because like Mark said, even without any weapons, she just prevents all the damage, so you're not going to wipe. Even with, 3 or 4 runic charges, it was enough to last the whole fight. I breezed through it with the launch meta comp, double Lael, Pandemonium. Easy score get, but I did see a lot of people saying that it was fairly challenging for them, the event. I don't know if it's because they weren't running launch comp, but I'm not sure how it is without launch or Celes.
Oh, I can touch on this a little bit.
Sure.
I actually did not get score the first time I tried Celes, even with her EX and a strong Papillamo for the level 100 quest to get the score requirement. I came back to it, got a little bit more turn efficient, and I think I brought a Lael friend, and that was enough to push me well over the score requirement. So it's one of those fights where I think if you know what you're doing, it's not dangerous, it's just making sure you are doing it fast enough.
Anything else on Celeste Lost Chapter? Did you have Papa and Onion Knight already, or did you end up getting their stuff because you pulled for her EX?
I had an MLB Papillamo and I had Onion Knight X already, so all the weapons were automatic stones except for Celeste weapon.
Yeah. All right, well, that brings us to the current event, which is a new character, Fangs of Promise. What a stupid name.
Tell me about it.
Fang. So our new character is Fang. Fang is from Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13, oddly enough, we have all of the playable characters from Final Fantasy 13 and Sarah already in this game, which means we have all of the protagonists from this game before any other game, I believe. That is correct. Not including Warrior of Light, Onion Knight, obviously, because...
Wait, what about FF5? I thought they were the first.
We do have all the FF5.
Yeah, you're right. We do have all the, because we got yeah, we do have all the FF5.
I think
characters. So
Kryl was the last one.
That
right?
was the first one. Yeah, that was the first one. We got all of them first.
Lena
and
was
then,
last.
Yeah, this is the second. So interesting. Yeah. So it was. So about the story, I guess that's what I want to say. of the Fang event, because it starts with Jet beating the crap out of Fang. I just thought, like, how can this game stroke Jet's ego anymore? This game is like, I'm pretty sure at this point Jet is the main character.
Whoa! I need to go back and I famously skip every cutscene, but you said this event starts with Jet beating the shit out of Fang. That's something I gotta see.
Oh yeah, no, that's like, yeah, that's a big part of the first cutscene, I believe, is Jet is a mankin, and you know, he's like, well, I guess the only way to do this is to beat you to death. And so he kicks her ass, and then she's like, and he's like, I don't know, you were, you know, being crazy, and so I beat you up. I don't have any idea. Like, this doesn't seem appropriate on any.
Jet is the best.
Particular level.
This is they should keep this trend going. And from what I've seen, from a lot of cutscenes in the future too, is Jet is actually featured a lot, which I'm not complaining about, but you know.
Developers like Jet. I don't know why they wouldn't, but they.
He's got a huge fan base.
He has a huge sword too.
He does have a big sword, and he does like to drink and beat his children. So.
He doesn't. Again, I'm gonna go with there was no evidence of physical abuse in FF10.
Emotional abuse. Oh yes, let's talk about Fang. Can someone tell us what Fang does and why we care about what she does?
Do you want to take this, Mino, or am I?
You are the resident character expert now, so please.
Okay, I'm not going to touch on all of Fang's passes then, I'll just touch on her key points.
Yes.
First thing is that they tried to reflect Fang's aspect of being a primarily saboteur/commando in Final Fantasy XIII. So they gave her a saboteur stance and a commando stance, similar to Lightning having a Ravager and a commando stance in her ability kit. Her first ability is Umbral Vice, which is supposed to reflect her saboteur characteristics. It's a one-hit melee attack that inflicts a couple of debuffs: max brave down, defense down, speed down. It can also trigger a single target HP attack if her brave gets above 80% of her max brave after use. And activates Saboteur F, which raises her max brave, allows her to do a one-hit brave attack plus while that's active that hits weakness damage. Her second ability is Whirlwind, which reflects her commando ability. Probably should have been named Blitz, honestly. Whatever. Whirlwind is a two-hit AoE attack melee that triggers a single target HP attack. The major thing here is that if Fang breaks or attacks a broken target, it becomes stronger and initiates a launch against the primary target. So Fang is a gimmicky launcher, kind of like how Layle's a gimmicky launcher, but with a different gimmick tied to it. Whirlwind also triggers a buff called Commando F, which is very similar to Lightning's. It gives her a max brave up and attack up, and she also can get a physical attack up for herself based on that. While in Commando F stance, she gets access to a different brave attack plus. That's a melee AoE attack. So she has some ability to do a couple different things. She could be a debuffer, she can be a launcher, depending on what the situation calls for.
Hey, Star Shadow gave us an interesting piece of media. Trivia. He says, her attacks are named after Bahamut's abilities in FF13. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I didn't realize that myself. I didn't summon Bahamut very often in Final Fantasy 13.
I think
I have to go back to Hate 8's comment At least it wasn't titled Fangs for the Memories. Oh, that's too good.
Anyways, it's question time. So let me throw you the theoretical concerns. That's all I am now. I'm the theory guy. Kreise is the guy with the real data. So the thing is that have you used Fang outside of her event without synergy? The main concern is, how is her Brave Shaving ability on her own? Because that's what all her kit revolves around, you know, getting the breaks or hitting the broken targets.
I have not had a chance to use her outside of cycle quest grinding while I was leveling her up, so I can't touch on this too much. I can say that Whirlwind is stronger than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a really weak ability, and it's actually doing a decent amount of damage, especially against multiple targets, but I can't say for certain how strong it'll be. Umbral Vice is weak. For an attack that's almost 200% attack potency,
Right.
it does not feel good to
Right.
hit, and even with debuffs already active to get the weakness bonus, I have not been able to trigger the HP attack on it against Cactuars, which is when I usually use it, after Garnet fails to kill the last wave.
Yeah, that falls in line with what I've heard. From the data I've gathered, basically, it's that Umbral Vice's conditional HP attack is very hard to activate, because Fang actually does not hit very hard, is the word on the street. And the other one is that the break conditional for her launch is the worst conditional out of all the launchers, because break is the hardest thing to guarantee. Everyone else can either launch guaranteed no matter what, or with Lael you can kind of count it, and with Pandemonium it is guaranteed no matter what. But the point is, you can count it. With Fang, it really depends on your ability to break the enemy, which apparently she is lacking in. And as difficulty increases and content moves forward, it gets harder and harder to guarantee that break launch. So no, go ahead.
I just want to touch on that. I want to say that theoretically, Fang has a very high attack stat. She has the highest base attack in the game. It's the highest it can possibly be. She can get, just from her own personal buffs and her personal physical attack buff and being in Commando S stance, she can multiply her attack by 2.5 times. So she gets up to 250% of her base attack just from her own personal buffs. So theoretically, she can hit pretty hard despite her weak potencies. I just have not had a chance to see it in action yet. And as you're saying, I think the fact that she has to break an enemy is going to hurt her in the long run as a launcher.
Yeah, and the problem is so many conditionals. I know when she launched in JP, she was almost considered dead on arrival, because it's the conditionals. You need the debuffs to make her hit hard, and that means running pretty specific teams with debuffers. And like you said, it's the weak potencies, and it's a lot of things. Like, on paper she looks good, in practice it's gonna be tough, especially with the events coming up, because you know, there's a theory that every time a new character comes out, the next few events screw them over really hard. And I think you can see it with Fang, because Deuce is coming up, and they counter and resist melee attacks, so that really screws Huh? Oh,
just a comment of clarification, and then I have a question. BOK009 is asking something I was going to ask anyway, so thank you for bringing it up. Doesn't she launch if they are already broken?
Yes, but
yes, she does.
But it also, like I said, it's going to get harder and harder.
They have to be broken.
Yeah, it's harder and harder to get that broken status as we go forward, right?
Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, because even in her own event, they have a max brave of 25k. You know, like, how often are you going to break that is the question. Like, it's so conditional, it's so hard to pull off, I think.
So a question for both of you. Do you think Fang and perhaps Deuce later this month are suffering from kind of being at the end of a character event era where being awakened, are getting characters awakened to level 60, but we're not getting their EX in an era when we're starting to get EXs and characters relying on their EXs? Do you think that's really maybe one of the issues we're having with Fang, is if she had an EX at this point, she would really be on par with other people, but because she didn't get her EX, maybe she's a little bit underpowered?
I think you're onto something.
On this first.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Kreise.
looking ahead to Japan and what they had to do to Fang for her Lost Chapter Awakening rework and EX, I think most of her power was in the Awakening rework. The EX is nice, don't get me wrong, but they had to completely change and boost the power of her base kit to make it work. Her EX is basically just more damage and more personal special buffs on top of what she already gets from her base kit. So Fang suffers more from just having a bad kit design, or them, I guess, overestimating how powerful her kit is on launch.
Kreise said exactly what I wanted to say. I was going to say this is Sabin 2.0 all over again. They wanted to give her a specialty and make her excel in her specialty, which is debuff targets and broken targets, which she hits especially hard on. So they wanted to rein back everything else, but they overtuned, or they undertuned, basically, and unless she hits her conditionals, she's hitting like garbage, just like Sabin, and his ghost specialty. It's horrible, and I wish they'd stop putting so much into these specialties. But to answer Mark's question is, I don't think we're there yet on the whole new Awaken characters without EXs, because Deuce is, when she launched in JP, she was still top meta, because she fit into the meta so well, which is auras, tons of auras, tons of batteries, and tons of defense ignoring attacks. Like she was right up there with Kaden Selfie when she launched in JP. So I don't think it's the lack of EX holding them back, and I don't think we're there just yet, because even in JP, I think Freya, who launched very close to the 70 era, came without an EX, and she held her own okay for a month, which is all you can ask for a character.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Freya did come without for some reason.
So I don't think we're there yet.
VIII and X instead.
Lulu as well. Lulu launched without the EX and was fine for a month. So
and kind of weird. Very truthfully, looking at the, because so Freya's a chapter character.
yes,
Freya doesn't have her EX, but the chapter before Peaceful gets his EX. The chapter after Pain, Noelle, the 2 chapters after, both get their EX, and it's the same with Lulu. Why they chose, and Barrett doesn't get his EX either.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of strange that they chose that, but I do think you're right that if you are using Lael, Kate Sith, Selfie, and Friend Lael, you're getting high scores without any EX weapons right now.
Yes.
So
we're not there yet. I know it kicks in again at the famously at the end of the 50 era, those characters got screwed the hardest. Zac, Rydia, Sid, who just, as soon as the Awakenings came, they just died. They died like a week or 2 after they came. I know Japan's suffering round 2 of that when it comes to the EX weapon Awakenings, but from here on out, like, there are characters that launch without EX that do fine. So it's okay for now. It's a tough call for later.
So that brings us to the banner, and we got a surprise. We were expecting from our friends in Japan, Fang EX. We weren't really expecting because we already got Tidus EX, but in Japan, the banner was Fang, Tidus, and Yuna with Tidus's EX for the first time. Of course, we received Tidus's EX early, and so we got a replacement, and the replacement we got was Zell. And in Japan, Zell would have been on the
next Awakening, I think, right?
From what I've heard, he was on his EX was on the last Awakening wave that Japan got.
Yes, he was on Awakening Part 9, which we will probably not get because we've already almost skipped an entire Awakening. But yeah, he was on the last with Lightning. So Zell and Lightning EXs were together. Yes. So either on the 8th or 9th Awakening, you were able to get both of those EXs on one banner. Oh no, it was on Zell was on the red banner and Lightning was on the yellow banner, because in Japan you had Zaz, Cypher, Yuffie all red, and Raging, Yang, Lilizet all yellow or orange, whatever color that is. For that, I believe it is orange, right? So yeah, those were the two EXs. So we are getting, arguably, we are getting Zell EX several months early. What do you think about Zell EX? Someone who has it.
Oh, that was not anything, not too pointed at me, because I famously said don't pull on this banner, and then when Zelly X showed up, I pulled anyway.
That's fine. I didn't want it, so it's cool.
I kind of wanted it just for like I was gonna skip this banner. My bet was Tidus EX reappearing. This is gonna be a complete skip for me. Zell EX dropped, so I threw some tickets at it. Didn't get it, but it did tempt me to pull. That's for sure.
I will start with what I invested in the banner, and then I'll talk about the EX itself. I did 50 tickets and 10k gems. That was enough to get Zelly X and Fang 35, and enough Fang 15s that I could fully MLB it without spending any power stones, so I was happy about that. Anyways, the EX weapon is Guys. It is one of Zell's weapons from Final Fantasy VIII, and he gets the EX ability called Different Beat. With the EX ability, he does a huge potency 9-hit single target Brave plus HP attack that can Brave overflow up to 150% of his max Brave. It also gives him dual on activation, so it is active for the attack itself after testing a little bit. And after use, he gets a couple things, where his Brave attack turns into Burning combo, and his HP attack turns into Meteor combo. Burning combo basically does Punch Rush, followed by his first ability,
Meteor Barrage, right? Am I wrong here?
I'm blanking on the names of the abilities. I'm gonna double check them.
Sure, if you want to double check, I'll fill in some time real quick. Is some of the questions I was going to ask you later, you can...
Oh, here it is. I got it.
Okay, got it.
So, if you use his Empowered Brave ability after activating his EX, he will do Punch Rush, followed by Burning Rave. So he does a 4-hit single target Brave attack, followed by a battery, followed by an AoE Brave plus HP attack, where he does full damage to his primary target, and then 50% splash damage to all secondary targets. His HP plus attack, or his HP variant after using his EX, it does Booyah, followed by Meteor Barrage, which are both single target attacks. He basically does 2 major Brave attacks, followed by a big HP attack. And then his attacks turn back into their base forms, and he has to reactivate Duel. The other big kicker is that if you MLB his weapon, he gets a HP plus while he is in dual stance, which allows him to basically do some Brave damage followed by an HP attack, which is pretty nice for conserving ability uses. Not that Zell really needs to worry too much about ability uses, but it's still nice.
Okay, so all the questions I usually ask Kreise, it's from, this is why it's a nice balance, because Kreise is more focused on GL and a lot of personal experience, whereas I always did my research and gathering from the future aspect of JP players looking back after they've had some distance. So the concern with Zell EX is, they said the consensus was that Zell EX makes him much more usable because the dual buff is up way more often, so you get access to all his stronger abilities and Brave to HPs, right? But the concern is he's still a character that takes some build up, and like Prish, you have to rotate through his abilities, and that's not always ideal, right? Because you don't always want those first abilities. What's your take on that? How do you address that?
I think his EX fixes that a lot more than Prish's EX fixes her issue of having to swap between Brave and HP attacks, because now what he can do is he does 1 Brave attack, he activates Duel, he can use an HP plus if he needs conserve abilities, he's still in Duel. If he wants to, he can activate one of his empowered abilities, Brave plus HP, he loses Duel. So that's 2/3 of the time without even considering his EX. After that, with his EX, he gets Duel for his EX attack, then he gets duel for is either a powered Brave or a powered HP, which means 2 turns from his EX where he is in duel. He's basically in duel stance for both of those attacks then.
Yeah.
And then he can go straight back into duel using one of his basic abilities again. So his turn efficiency goes way, way up with his EX. Not to mention he has still the best defense down debuff seen yet at minus 60% for Booyah.
Yes. So where do you place where would you place him right now? Actually, do you think he's viable for a one of the stronger characters in the game for sure? Like, would you bring him for progression content?
I've been thinking about that a lot, and my current thought is yes, I'm going to try to take him for progression content. We haven't talked about the EX fight here yet, but I want to say I tried bringing Zell EX for the fight only once, and that was the first time I did it, so I didn't know all the mechanics of how the fight was working. And it ended up being Celeste X that carried me through that fight, not Zell EX. So I can't say whether he works for this event or if he will carry over for future events yet. What I can say is he destroys the co-op. It's no joke.
That's a perfect segue for what I wanted to talk about next. But Mark, did you have anything you want to throw in here before I move on?
No. I like Zell. My Zell is, well, I mean, I like all Final Fantasy VIII characters, but my Zell is max limit broke, and with his issues, that's really the only reason I don't use him more often, just because of the slow setup. But I do think with his EX there is some potential to use him, so I'll be looking forward to see Kreise use him and other people use him including the event he has synergy on.
Yeah,
I can say...
Go ahead, Kreise.
Sorry, I just want to say one more thing. Going forward, I'm planning to experiment a lot more with a couple of the more niche EX weapons I have, and see if I can make them work in certain encounters. I don't think I'll be able to make Cell work in Deuce, for example, but I'm going to try to make Celeste work if I can. I haven't studied the event too much yet, but I'm thinking I can make her work, possibly.
I want to say Celeste might be okay going forward. We'll see. I know Deuce EX has... most of the attacks are physical. There are some magic attacks, though. But they counter and resist anything that's not magic, and luckily Celeste is mostly magic damage, so I'm actually looking forward to that, Kreise, you bringing Celeste to that. What I wanted to say was, hold on, we have some comments here. Oh, right, okay. So the topic was they replaced Zell. Tidus and his EX were originally synergy for this event. They replaced it with Zell. The question is, did that mess up balance or not? Because I'm hearing mixed things from a lot of people that they thought Tidus EX might have been... I mean, Tidus synergy might have been much better for this event than Zell synergy. And from the data that Macnull's collected so far, it's not conclusive yet. Harrieth in 29 in chat says that he or she brought Zell to the EX fight. But so far, Macnull there are some Tidus clears for Fang EX. We have yet to see a Zell clear for the EX. Do you guys think that Zell is better or worse synergy than Tidus for this?
I think if Tidus had synergy, he would have been a good option for, I don't know compared to Zell, but I think with the... obviously with his EX, which does AoE damage, with his debuffs to knock off those, he immediately would do 3 debuffs to knock off some of the buffs of the enemy. Yeah, I mean, I think Tidus would have been a nice option synergy. And of course, he works with Yuna and could work with Launch too with his quick hit and can kind of jostle position. So I think the event was targeted towards him.
Right. Oh, and to interrupt really quickly, One Winged Devil and Harrieth said Zell did get them the clear at 174k score. So Zell is confirmed to be a clearer, and One Winged Devil said someone else sent them a clear with Zell in it. We have several clears with Tidus without synergy, though. That's very impressive. That without that stat boost, Tidus is still getting a good amount of clears. Like, I think there's 3 or 4 confirmed clears with Tidus, so I'm actually pretty impressed with that. And to follow up on that is... oh, no, sorry, Kreise. Did you have anything to add to this subject?
Based on my own experience with the EX fight and what I've seen come out of it, Tidus EX and Tidus Kit was built for this fight. He can push off 3 buffs, potentially. He can really push off 2 buffs from the Sahagins. He does 100% full HP, AoE HP damage on his EX weapon, and he moves really fast, which helps with the Sahagin speed buffs. So he works really, really well. I also think that if you can find another way to deal with the Sahagin buffs, Zell works really, really well, because he does a lot of AoE damage if you use Burning Rave pretty frequently. That splash damage is no joke. So I don't think Zell was a bad replacement in this case. Might not be a perfect replacement, but it's not a bad one.
Yeah,
But it does bring up the point of if they're jostling around characters, not because they said they're not going to go back to moving the events around.
Yes, yes.
There was a while where they were moving events around, and that screwed up everything. It will be interesting to see if we get those events that they messed up, or events that they messed the order of, if we get them in the same order that we got them, or if we're going to go back to the order Japan got them. I'm assuming we're going to get them in the same order we got them, but we'll see next month whether we get Guja or not. But hopefully we do. If they start substituting, this character for that character, this character for that character, probably not in LCs, but maybe in events, and then their LCs. Yeah, these boss fights were developed, hopefully, and we believe, for the 3 synergy characters that they had in Japan. So if you mess with that too much, you could potentially really screw up a fight there.
Yeah.
While we're at this topic, do we want to seg into the question that you wanted to pose on this?
I was thinking that, but I also wanted to cover the EX a little more, the fight itself.
Okay.
What I wanted to go into before, but it is a great segue, but I don't want to leave the EX fight yet. Before the show started, we were discussing this event itself, and I was saying I think the difficulty of Fang EX battle is perfect, especially for my personal taste. And I said that, and I think Kreise agreed, because it seemed daunting at first. When it first launched, there were a lot of outcries of, this is difficult, they have too much HP, they do too much damage, 25k max brave is insane. But just a day later, people are coming up with so many strategies to beat it. And I think it's because this fight countered the usual strategies of DPS rush and just throwing launches at it, and it made people really think about the fight. So people thought this was unfair at first, but once they learned how the fight worked, a lot of people are starting to overcome this pretty easily. The launch meta still works, you just need to think about it a little more. This is really going to test your knowledge of how to use Lael and how to optimize his launches. And there are many, many clears without any launches at all. Debuffing works, people bringing Ferris and Tidus have been doing wonders on it. Preventing debuffs works.
Why do you have to think about how you use Lael? Because I was falling asleep last night when I did this with the launch team. I don't think it was that I don't think it was that difficult with the launch meta, actually.
A lot of the struggle, a lot of people try, there were so many fail attempts with, say Kate, Beatrix, and Lael, or Kate, Selfie, and Lael. Kate, Selfie, and Lael face some problems with brave shaving, I know that. And Kate, Beatrix, and Lael, it's about optimizing the launch, and also turn delay is where I wanted to get to. Basically, people are saying manipulating turn delay is more important than the launch itself, because many people's successes relied on not giving the bosses a turn at all. So
I was able to clear it in my first run with Beatrix, Kate, and Lael, friend Lael. I was able to clear it in 41 turns. Yeah, 41 turns. About 250,000 score, but the boss both of bosses respectively got 1 attack before they were both dead.
So maybe you knew it instinctively, Mark, or you got lucky. Basically,
so good.
But
just, I can play by instinct.
Exactly. But the mistake that I made and a lot of other people seem to make was either they burned one boss down too quick, like, and you just kill one boss and the other one buffs up and starts doing, as Kreise pointed out to me, he starts doing the AoE Brave to HP attack a lot more if there's only one up, like almost every turn, with the debuffs and everything.
For me, what I noticed was that once one is left, it's about every other turn.
Yeah.
I know that because Celeste was basically capped on Brave because she was still getting targeted by single target attacks on those couple attempts.
Right. But what I've seen from the best clears that Macnull has gathered so far is that instead of focusing one, people seem to be spreading out the turn delay to make sure nobody gets a turn, pushing back both bosses' turns equally to make sure nobody gets a turn. And so, I mean, turn manipulation seems to be a big thing because Lael obviously is the most popular character to get the score. The second most popular character, it looks like, is Setzer for the red card turn delay, and the freeze Joker battery as well. And it seems like turn delay is a bigger deal than launches here. And Varus has been proving in success. We have so many clears with so many characters, which I'm really impressed with. Tidus, Varus, I've seen Ramza EX in there some, which makes me regret not pulling that even more.
Yeah, Ramza EX has been used on
everything.
Several.
Yeah, that's
pretty much
so strong.
So.
I regret not pulling that. Like, you talked me out of pulling it, Mark. I'm so angry.
I don't have it. Don't look at me. I didn't get it.
and you know, Ferris is. I've even seen a Fang clear, which I'm impressed with, because I thought Fang was trash, but apparently she can do her own event fine.
They're saying Harith and One Winged Devil are saying, and
Orin
are saying Orin.
Yeah, Orin clear. Yeah, I've seen
Who are people using with Orin?
Yeah. Let us know your comps
I
in
would
chat.
not be surprised if it's
team?
Fang plus Orin there, because Fang gets better damage if Orin's there to
Yeah.
get the melee weakness.
Like I said last week, and I fully believe it, and a lot of people didn't believe me, is that Orin with EX is very viable moving forward. Same with Garnet, because I said there have been documented proof that Orin EX and Garnet EX have lasted until the next the next power creep. So people who got Orin EX and Garnet EX, more power to you. I want to see those clears.
Orin Tidus Kate, Orin Tidus Ramza, Orin Tidus Selfie. Huh. Well, I may go back. I don't really want to do this one again, but I may go back and use my Orin EX.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, but perfect segue. This is a fight that I actually do want to do again, and that's very rare for me because it seems like I said, this is the fight. This is the difficulty I want all future fights to be at personally, which is it seems hard at first, but you need to learn the fight, learn the mechanics, adapt, because it's not straightforward. So you learn the fight, and there are so many solutions. People either go with characters that can remove the debuffs, like Selfie and Lena, or the ones that remove their buffs, like Ferris and Tidus, or just the launch combo. There are a lot of combinations out. This is one of the most varied events when it comes to clears that I've seen, and that one that everyone thought was hard in the beginning, but are slowly finding more and more solutions. So I really praise this fight.
I also want to call out and say that I've gotten the complete for this, not the score, the max score reward, but I've gotten the complete with Celeste EX. She shuts down the Sahagin so hard.
There you go. Kreise throwing in another part of the formula. Throw in a Celeste tank, and boom, you can you can trivialize some of the fight because they're mostly magic damage as well. I think it's a really well designed fight. I know there's a lot of complaints. I know when it hit JP there were a lot of complaints, and now I'm starting to think that we shouldn't follow JP exactly anymore either, because they complained that it was very hard to get the score. But I think that with a bigger player base, experimenting with more things, it's not that bad, and I really do enjoy it. We'll tune in next week, we'll see, because Deuce EX is famously one of the hardest fights. And
we're not going to have Deuce EX next week.
Damn it. Well, next time, and then following Agrius EX is also supposed to be pretty difficult. So we're in for, if you thought Fang was a struggle, apparently it's going to continue for a bit. Dual bosses and Enrage is going to be the trend for a little while. Always two bosses, you kill one too early, the other one freaks out and wipes you out. So get used to this for the next month or so, guys, of killing two bosses and lowering their HP equally.
Woo!
I want to say that
Ferris
is going to be really strong for this too. I keep trying to bring up other characters, and Ferris has been mentioned. The big problem with Ferris is you really need to have her 35 CP to shut down their buffs. Once you shut down their buffs, they're weak. But she doesn't do a lot of damage on her own, so keep that in mind if you try to...
Moving right along, Mino, you asked, should synergy characters be able to fully complete? So, for example, this current event is Fang, Zell, and Yuna. So, should the synergy team be able to clear and complete the event? What do you think?
Just a second, Mark. I think your mic might be a little close now. You're getting a little feedback. But besides that, I brought this question up because in Discord, in our Discord, we've been chatting a lot about this. A lot of people have been saying. One of the players said that so far they've been able to use a full synergy team to get a full complete on all events so far before Fang EX. And then looking at Fang EX, originally it was Fang, Tidus, and Yuna, and apparently that team was impossible to get a full complete on, because let's be honest, Yuna is dead weight here. I cannot see anyone getting a full complete with Yuna here. Please prove me wrong again, guys. I would love to be proven wrong just like last week, but if there's a full complete with Yuna out there, I'll eat my words. It seems like she is completely useless for this event. And then we wanted to segue into this because they replaced the synergy character for the first time ever in Global, and now that they've done that, anything goes. They can replace synergy characters on any event. No longer can we bet on a banner being the same for events only. And they replaced Tidus with Zell. Everyone's agreeing that Tidus was a better synergy, but can you get it now with Zell and Yuna? Are they even concerned if you can get the full complete with a full synergy team? Or do they not care now? That's why they're switching characters in and out. I threw the challenge out on our Discord. It's only been a day, but no one's been able to do it, to get a full complete with full synergy. But the question is, should you be able to? And I bring this up because I feel like it's an impossible thing to balance. I do think in an ideal world, somebody said on Discord, I gotta look up the name, I'll add it to the credits later, but somebody said that they feel if you fully invest in a banner, you should be able to get the full complete. And that's just how it works. Like, they should reward you for going all in on a banner. But not all characters are created equal, and I feel like if they do balance it specifically for the synergy team, the meta characters will always blow it out of the water. Like, how can you form a team or a fight around a team that's so specific that Kate, Beatrix, and Lael won't blow it out of the water?
Well, the one thing that they could do is make the boosts for synergy better. I mean, really. So that it just does make it that much better to bring the synergy characters. Right now, that's really not the case. Ed Kreise, I think you were going to say something.
I want to say that I kind of agree with what Aminosa in the Twitch chat said. I feel that a team of synergy should be able to get a complete on the EX event, not necessarily get the highest score missions complete, because typically those missions are designed more with how challenging the event is and how challenging it should be to get with the best characters available now, whereas the event itself should be designed for the characters who are being used. So if they're crap characters, like Yuna's not great, let's all be honest here,
Yeah.
They shouldn't penalize you for trying to take Yuna through and complete the EX fight. ideally, I think in an ideal world, all characters would be equal strength, and you could use the synergy team to get the full score requirements. I just don't think that's a reality we're at.
To play devil's advocate, I'm going to say that I think the developers aren't too concerned about balance, more updating characters' weapons, because it's more like, if I were the developers, I would think, oh, Yuna hasn't been featured in a while, or her weapons haven't been on a banner in a while. Let's put her somewhere where she might do something. And the theory checks out, because in this fight, HP damage is inevitable, so they probably expect a healer, you know, Yuna's cheer. They probably want you to pump up a lot of Brave, as seen, because of the buffs raise defense significantly, and they debuff often, so they probably wanted Asuna. So it makes sense Yuna's there. She's not the best pick, but like I think maybe they tried to include her, and I want to say they probably make their synergy choices more on who hasn't been featured in a while, rather than who's best for this fight, because that just makes more sense from a business perspective, I think.
I absolutely agree with you that they probably choose characters based on who hasn't been featured in a while, but Lightning's never been on an event banner before, so I don't know how true that really is. Neither has Cypher. So they apparently don't play favorites with everyone all the time. And second, some characters are just not that good. One of the people in Discord or on Twitch, Celes, mentions that his Yuna with synergy and cheer only gets to 11k max Brave.
Yeah.
That is half what characters without synergy can reach in the event.
That is
awful.
rough.
Yuna is not good right now.
Yes.
And to try to drag her along, to give you a character that cannot realistically complete the event is not fair, is my opinion.
I 100% agree with you. I also want to say that as someone who's been running Yuna in the co-op, I've noticed how terrible she is in this. Her max Brave is half of everyone else's. It's awful. I apologize in advance for anyone that ends up in a co-op with me, because Yuna is the only synergy character I have for it. But it is terrible, and I actually want to see coming up this month, because so for those who don't know, in Japan around this time, a month or two in the future, they introduce Eidojas, which is the next tier of artifacts, and they buffed, I believe, 6 characters, 6 of the lowest tier characters with special artifact passives that increased their performance significantly. Yuna was, of course, on that list, giving her huge artifact boosts and even auras in her artifact. Like, the insane boosts, if I could find them. I don't...
If I recall correctly, Aerith and Cater are 2 of the other characters on that list, and Sarah, basically characters who did not get Great Awakening.
Lion as well. I don't remember the last person. But
it's important to then, right, to the end of that story is... They did that for those 6 characters, and then they have never done it again.
Yes, because I was going to get to that, but thank you, Mark. Was that the Japanese players rioted because they said character balance should not be through RNG artifacts, which is a completely valid argument. They said that we don't want these characters to only get good if we get lucky on artifacts. That's terrible balancing. The outcry was so loud that the developers decided to do everything through reworks in the future, and that's why we started getting reworks instead of Eidojas. But it's such a weird thing to balance now, and they're starting to see it in the 70 era, because these 6 characters have such strong artifacts that their performance is 100% reliant on those artifacts. The artifacts have already been put in the game. So when Lion and Yuna got their 70 reworks, they were either great or terrible depending on if you had their artifacts. And it's just too little too late, because these 6 characters are now being balanced around their OP artifacts that no other characters have. I don't know how they're going to balance that out in the future. I'm really interested. And the hope is that...
Right, and
yeah?
we may not get them at all, right?
That's the hope. That's the hope, that we don't get...
I really hope they don't come and they just do some sort of weird rework thing, so we don't have to deal with that, because I don't want to have to deal with the Idoja artifact passives for these characters.
Yeah,
It's gonna be awful.
exactly. Like, it's so weird. It sucks, and that's the horror of the gacha game and MMOs and games as a service. Is they had this idea, they implemented it, they decided it was terrible, they moved on, but the change was already made. So these 6 characters are just balanced so differently from every other character because this exists. So yeah, but they know Yuna's freaking terrible, and it's just awful that this happened.
Well, that brings us to our community discussion, and we've already been talking about this on as hosts, but Quezt wanted to ask the community, and we did in our Discord, and we do have a Discord, and you're always welcome. Would one of you gentlemen share that Discord link as I talk about this question in the Twitch?
Can you get a Kreise? I can't switch out without messing up the stream.
Oh yeah,
Yep,
I can do it here in a second after I
tried
do
to
it.
put. I don't know if that's the right one.
I don't think so. I think that's just the regular Discord.
Oh goodness.
Okay, my invite link is broken right now. Awesome.
It's okay.
I got it.
We'll always have it in the description, the video descriptions, the recording descriptions.
There
Twitch.
it is.
It's always there. But go
So,
ahead, Mark.
Quetzalma, let me do that. Quetzalma wanted to ask, how do you feel about the current power creep of the game? Are you basically only using meta characters, or are you having success with other units? Now, I think we've all kind of talked about that, but wanted to share maybe a few folks on our Discord. Parsnippins, which is perhaps a bit of a toasty take. I think there is a collective assumption among hardcore players that content is balanced around the top bonus score instead of the baseline. In my opinion, if synergy characters are able to get the complete stamp on missions, that's adequate balance, which I've been able to do without much problem without the most meta team. I feel like many GL players prefer using meta strats even when they're not needed, and the community plans around meta banners for the better part of a year before they come out. So I think balancing top scores for second string characters would lead hardcore players to complaining about the game being too easy. Any comments on that?
Yeah, let me follow up on that really quick. Parsnippins is the player I mentioned earlier, who said that before Fang X, they were able to complete all events with a full synergy team. Much respect, by the way, and you must be the luckiest person when you pull. First, Roba Isolkin on Twitch says that the last character to get the Idoja was VIII, by the way, just to complete that information. Because, yeah, VIII.
Peter, Aerith, Lion, VIII, Sarah, Yuna.
Yes.
And
then, but Parsnippins also said, because I asked them this morning, are you able to do the Fang EX with the team? Because I just don't see it being done with Yuna. And apparently they tried a few times and they said, yeah, I think you're right, Mino. I don't think Yuna can get the full complete on this, which is a shame. This is a turning point then, where it's the first time the synergy team cannot do it.
And it may just be this particular event too, because they messed around. I mean, I'm not sure that if Tidus had synergy, he may have been that much better too.
Yeah, that's true. Kreise, any thoughts on this?
I think I've said on the Discord what my thoughts are, and if you've seen my struggles with most recent events, you know what my thoughts are. The power creep is starting to become noticeable again. For several events there, it wasn't noticeable. I winged my way through Leon X, got the score without getting the HP requirements, for example. So all of a sudden the heretics hit, I'm having trouble hitting score requirement for even just the completion of the event, not even the high score. And for Fang, I'm hitting the same sort of issue. So the power creep's starting to become noticeable. It's not impossible for me, but I'm also not leaning on the launch meta. If you've heard of the teams I've been using, I'm trying to lean on characters such as Celeste and Garnet and Beatrix and Ramza. Some good characters, some not so amazing characters. I tried to bring Zell X and I think he'll work. I just didn't know what I was doing for the Fang event. So it is noticeable. You can't just wing your way through these events anymore. They're becoming harder.
To add on to that, from what I know of JP, again, future foresight looking back, is that this was a particularly difficult era of EX battles. Like I said, this Fang EX, Deuce EX, and Agrius EX were all considered very difficult. Like, this was the equivalent of our of Global's Lena EX month, which again was unique to Global because JP didn't have these EXs. This was JP's worst month, or worst period of time when it came to challenges. Everyone thought that the game was overtuned, and that's why the launch meta became such a big thing, because not everyone was a great player, but launch meta allowed everyone to get the score pretty easily because of launching, inflating the score, and it's battery launch, so you can ignore all the mechanics and just burst them down. So these next 3 fights are supposed to be famously hard. And then, when Kuja EX creep comes in, apparently EXs are trivialized for the longest time, like a joke, until Cosmos came in. And that's why they introduced Cosmos, because EXs were just a joke for the longest time after the next power creep wave. So we'll see how that goes, but from foresight, it looks like we're in for a rough month or so.
Ooh.
Right.
Again, I'm not scared yet that I won't be able to complete events. It's definitely requiring more work on my part, and teams that I think will work are not necessarily going to work, and I have to rethink my strategies. That's what I found to be the case this last couple times. I need to rethink what I.
The good news is you could have anniversary tokened and weapon tokened combinations of Selfie, Lael, and Quezt, so.
I wanted to touch on that actually. Montekia, our partner and previous guest host for us, close friend of the podcast, he said when power tokens launched early in Global, very, very early, by the way, we got it months early, he said that, is anyone worried that because we are guaranteed power tokens and now we can get whatever weapon we want, they're going to tune the difficulty to assume we always have the meta characters? I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, I think it's looking that way. And also, to touch on what Kreise said, is that the meta, the launch and battery meta is here to make things easier, and I think most players will lean towards it, but it's definitely possible without. It was proven in JP. Like there's a lot of JP videos of clears. For example, Cloud was used for the Agrius EX clear for a very famous Agrius EX. They had the enemies had a buff that reduced brave damage to like 1 damage. So they used Cloud with his insane brave regen with Selfie and other characters that raised int brave so that he can regen like 15k brave a turn, you know, and deal it out. But I'm saying, like, there's a lot of innovative strategies out there that won't require launch, but it'll be difficult enough that I think most people will use launch meta as a crutch, and I'm guilty of that as well. When I want to clear something, I'll do the launch meta and then go back and experiment.
Mino, before we keep going with this topic, I just want to point out that one of our Twitch viewers, Pure Sin, pointed out that this is the first time we've had an event where the score requirement was actually increased for us. It went from 150k for the Japanese version to 155k. Not a huge increase, but no.
It's very interesting.
I want to I want to point out, maybe Monta was right. Maybe Monta says that they expect more of us because we got power tokens early, so we can guarantee weapons easier. Like anyone who missed Kate or Lael or Selfie, we are guaranteed enough tokens to go back and get their weapons. Maybe that's why they're increasing it, or they also acknowledge maybe we have a stronger roster because, you know, GL has been getting awakenings and characters earlier. Beatrix is certainly an earlier powerhouse, so maybe they really do expect us to do better. And we'll see what happens with the Deuce EX coming up. Deuce EX was famously the hardest EX of this era. Let's see if they pump up the score that'll be very interesting.
We'll see. It might have to do with the fact that they think Zell with his EX is better than Tidus with his EX for this fight too, and that's the reason they felt they could change the score requirement a little bit.
We did get Zell EX early. You know, that is something to consider. And Zell EX was considered good when it came out. So maybe they do think that Zell is a stronger, character to use than Tidus in this event.
Yeah, no way to know until we see what they drop on us like they did the Zelly X.
But again, I don't think they... Oh, sorry, Mark. But again, I don't think they overtuned this, because it seems like many people are clearing this no problem. And maybe we do have a stronger roster in GL. Like I said, once people realize how to use launch effectively, they've been clearing no problem, and there's been plenty of non-launch comps clearing Fang as well. I do think it's a good difficulty to be at.
Looking ahead, Deuce event is still a little ways away. This week we have World of Illusion Pandemonium Permanent. So if you missed Pandemonium for the first time and you want that launch meta to just be a little bit more meta, certainly go back and grind up Pandemonium, the wind element launch meta summon for yourself. And if you already have Pandemonium at level 20, like myself and probably my co-hosts, you'll get more gems, and there's always good gems in those World of Illusion permanents. And go ahead.
Just a reminder that while it's not guaranteed, global's different, but we'll probably see a repeat of Zidane's World of Illusion weapon, where he gives a party aura to attack and max brave when he debuffs a target. So if you love Zidane, you might want to consider pulling on that banner.
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, Mark, putting you, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they raise the score requirement for Deuce EX, because a lot of JP players said that GL has a huge advantage, because the problem with Deuce EX is there weren't that many strong magic attackers, because that event resists and counters melee and ranged. You had to bring a full magic team, and JP says GL has the advantage because we have Beatrix that JP did not have. A strong battery and magic damage dealer that JP just didn't have. At the time, they struggled, but we have a huge meta character that's perfect for the fight.
Yeah, but again, we're not going to see Deuce for a few weeks. This week, we do have another event, and that is the beginning of Story Arc 2, Chapter 1, and that will introduce us to the Type 0 character 7. Is a female character with a whip. So if that is your thing, you'll want to pull for 7, although she does not have her EX. And we are assuming that we are going to get Rem EX. That is what Japan got, and the banner was 7 Rem and Shadow, but there certainly could be some shakeup in that. So let us see. Maybe we'll get early Lightning EX. Who knows what we're going to get. I just threw that out there randomly. No, I don't want you to think I have secret information about EX. I mean, next week, I'm just, saying. It's possible. Who knows what might happen? You don't. We never know until it does.
I'll get my evaluation out on 7 sometime early next week. From what I recall, she's an interesting character. Nothing meta-defining, but interesting. So
any early impressions, Kreise?
I haven't analyzed her yet, so don't ask me.
Okay. All I know is her gimmick is she has a ability that will automatically target elemental weakness. So she'll always be able to hit elemental weakness no matter what. So, or at least it's 3 elements, I think: fire, ice, and lightning, at least. So she has a weird gimmick, very weird.
I'm just gonna say very truthfully, of all of the characters coming from now until current Japan,
yeah,
she is one that I've never heard really anything about from Japan. So.
Right. I mean, dead on arrival, like Fang, right?
Yeah,
like no one
I know.
heard anything about Fang for the longest time because nobody wanted to use her.
I don't know what's going on with Seven in Japan currently, but I don't think she's doing too much now. So
Right.
Nothing's happened with her since her release. Is
Right.
the problem.
I know. I
And
think she
again,
got a
Seven's
70
gonna
awakening.
be- Did she get a 70 awakening?
Yeah,
I
she
don't remember
did.
seeing that.
She did, and she was quote unquote decent on her 70. But the point is, very skippable character for sure.
Again, she'll be a character that will be interesting, but no one's going to pull for her because she is not amazing. She doesn't bring anything new to the table, is a good way to put it.
Oh, by the way, Harriet29 says, is Caius debuting? Caius is debuting as a boss in the event chapter, and as a giant middle finger to the player base, he resists gravity. You know what that means? He specifically resists Lael's launch. Caius is like, it's just specifically the only gravity move in the game is Lael's launch, and Caius resists it. So prepare for that in the upcoming chapter.
So what you're saying is I'll be fine because I'm not using Lael.
Yes, but I'm saying I think it's hilarious that the developers made made a boss specifically to avoid. Specifically to like he can't be force debuffed is what it was, or whatever Lael's debuff is. So they specifically made an enemy just to resist Lael, and it was great.
We will bring more about that next week. So I do encourage you, if you are following us on Twitch, do like us, follow us, gift a free Twitch Prime sub if you have that laying around. We appreciate that. You can follow us on YouTube. You can join our Discord. We always shout out to all our friends, so please check that. If you listen to us on Google Play or iTunes podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts, we always throw in shout outs to our good friends and yours. And so we encourage you to support all of the content creators and the good work they do, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, subreddit, or elsewhere. But unless there's anything else, gentlemen, this has been episode 45 of the Crystal Chronicles, Fangs of Promise, and night, and we'll see you all next week.